right, Shalom. First and foremost, I want to give all praise, glory, and honor that's due to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Rachakodash. Double honors to the elders and apostles of Great Millstone who rule well. Peace and blessings to the 144,000 and the hopeful elect, Shalom Barakatham. And I had a pretty interesting fact that I came across, okay, which is another proof that the scriptures are on point and the things that we break down to you are faithful and true. Okay, now this is a quote from the world famous Genghis Khan. Okay, now who he was, I'm unclear on, in terms of, certain generals, military leaders that, they come back, I happen to know that Napoleon saw himself as Julius Caesar. Okay, and this is why he ended up wearing the laurel wreath around his head when in the French Revolution, when he took over. If you watch that movie Napoleon, you'll see what I'm talking about. They had like kind of a system of government set up, but then Napoleon was so good as a army general, he ended up just taking power, very similar to how Julius Caesar did. They had a Senate before that, and then you have the infamous phrase crossing the Rubicon. That's an allusion to Julius Caesar going down south to take over Rome with the army. Okay, and so who this guy is, Genghis Khan in the reincarnation, I'm not sure, but he's definitely somebody of note. And he definitely conquered a lot of land. Okay, as a matter of fact, a red pill dating coach. Okay, not to go too much off of a tangent. Her name is Sadia Khan. She got recently exposed for just being a grifter and a side piece. Okay, she's a psychological dating coach expert, but her last name is Khan, and you will find that true to be of all the people in the eastern region of the Middle East, like east of the Middle East, the so-called Middle East. Okay, I'm talking about Afghanistan, Iraq, all the way, definitely a lot in Pakistan going in that region. You have a lot of names, last name Khan, because of this guy. Okay, that's how much work he put in. But I want to allude to this quote that he said, where it says the closest quote attributed to Genghis Khan that conveys the idea of divine sentience is, "I am the punishment of God. If you had not committed great sins, God would not have sent a punishment like me upon you." Okay, and this is what we teach. Okay, now the primary thing we think about is Isaiah 10. Okay, we go to the 5th verse, I believe. Yeah, Isaiah 10:5. It says, "O Assyrian, the rod of mine anger and the staff in their hand is mine indignation." So the point of this lesson is to prove the Most High sets up these rulers, man. Okay, every single ruler, the Lord sets them up. Okay, he decides who has the large army, who has the wherewithal to navigate these unknown terrains and get the victory. Okay, and if a nation goes off, including us, the Israelites, the Lord will send one of these demons, okay, to put hands on you. Okay, all right. Let me put this on Do Not Disturb. Okay, the Lord will definitely send one. Okay, and why? Because the staff is in their hand. It says the staff in their hand is mine indignation. Okay, so when he does this, that's the indignation of the Lord. And Genghis Khan was in the spirit when he said this, man. Okay, he said, "I am the punishment of God. If you had not committed great sins, God would not have sent me to send a punishment like me upon you." Okay, why did he say that? Okay, because Genghis Khan wasn't taking no names. Okay, he was ravishing women. Okay, kicking ass and chewing bubblegum, and he was all out of bubblegum. Okay, that's what he was up to, man. Okay, I mean, just straight up subduing nations. That's what he lived for, man. The Lord put a special spirit on this guy to just go through the earth and conquer. Okay, and this was during the this is toward the end of the Dark Ages when he started taking down basically Esau's rule from the east. Okay, sorry, Jake's rule from the east. Okay, now reading a little bit more on this guy, it says Genghis Khan presented himself as a divine instrument, suggesting that he was sent by the Most High to punish those who had committed grave sins. And he's true. That's true. You probably had a lot of wickedness going on. I have to research those areas. This is around 1,000, 1,100 to 1,200 AD or Common Era, okay, where he lived and started conquering. I believe he died around the 1200s or so. I have to look it up, but it says the quote reflects religious and cultural context of the time, where leaders often invoke divine will to legitimize their power and conquest. Okay, and so let's look up Genghis Khan. Just a couple facts about him. All right. Now, some people say he was red-haired and blue-eyed. That's what some people will say. Okay, when they look at his scribes and people wrote down his appearance. Now, of course, most people put this depiction on him. He was some, thin-haired Asian man. Okay, but we know that those kind of men, they don't just rise to the top. Okay, this guy had a formidable physiology. Okay, if he was a Moabite-looking guy, he was one of those old school ones. Not these modern, 5'3", effeminized versions. Okay, and it says, let me see. Yep, he was born in 1162. He died in 1227. Okay, so I was right. Okay, and this guy, I'm gonna look up the regions that he conquered real quick. Okay, this guy conquered all the way from India, China, and Mongolia, all the way into Europe, man. Okay. Golly, look at this. Look at that, man. All of China and Mongolia, the southern part of Russia. Okay. That's how much work he put in, man. Okay. And you telling me this is not the will of the Heavenly Father, that he can send one man and his army to go through and march through the breadth of the earth and just start taking land? This is the most High set this up, man. Okay. All right. What's the other precept I was thinking of? Daniel 4. Okay. And 17, this matter is by the decree of the watchers and the demand by the word of the holy ones, to the intent that the living may know that the Most High ruleth in the kingdom of men, and giveth it to whomsoever he will, and setteth up over it the basis of men. So if he can set base men up, he can set middle men up, he can set the top guys up, man. We're the top guys, the Israelites, okay? And yet we're at the bottom, because that's the Lord's doing. This is the Lord's realm, okay? That's how this whole thing works. And the elder Benji brought this out in Isaiah the 45th chapter, okay, about Cyrus, okay? Because Cyrus, he didn't come along until 170, almost 200 years after Isaiah prophesied this, and he named this guy by name. Isaiah named Cyrus, more than 170 years, I believe, before this guy even came up, okay? So this goes to show you that this is one of the things that even Christians will tell you proves the legitimacy of prophecy, because Isaiah lived around the time of the 700s. Isaiah was probably passed away by 700 BC. And when did Cyrus come up? Okay, he came up after the Babylonians. Okay, so Isaiah was gone before the Babylonians even showed up. Okay. And the Babylonians were there until the Persians showed up. Okay. And that's who Cyrus was. He was the Persian. So a whole captivity and a half, it was predicted that Cyrus would raise up. In Isaiah 45:1, it says, "Thus saith the Lord Yahweh to his anointed, to Cyrus, whose right hand I have holden, to subdue nations before him." Okay. And I will loose the loins of kings, to open before him the two-leaved gates, and the gates shall not be shut. Okay. So the Most High, basically, it says he held his right hand. Okay. And in the NLT, it says, "This is what the Lord Yahweh says to Cyrus, his anointed one." Okay. So he was chosen to be the leader of the next captivity, because there are things that larger at work. Like what were we allowed to do after Cyrus's reign? I believe it was I believe it was Darius that let us rebuild the temple. I got to look up I got to get back into these old kings. Okay. But that was all set up. Okay. So the second temple could be built because the Babylonians, those were savages, man. Okay. The Lord just wanted the Babylonians there because that's how bad we were going off, man. The whole temple just got razed and destroyed. Okay. But the Lord had already had it purpose for what? A second one to be built through a new, through regime change. Okay. It says, whose right hand he will empower. Before him, mighty kings will be paralyzed with fear. Okay, their fortress gates will be open, never to shut again. Okay. All right. So all of these things are set up by the Heavenly Father, man. Okay. And that includes this current rulership. Okay. In Habakkuk 1, it says, for lo, I raise up the Chaldeans, or the Chaldeans, that bitter and hasty nation, which shall march through the breadth of the land to possess dwelling places that are not theirs. The Lord said, I raised them up. Okay, you got to catch that, man. Okay, so all of these armies in the world, it don't mean nothing because the Lord is what? He's the power of armies. Okay, he's in control of whether or not, a person makes a mistake. All right, that battle that Napoleon lost at Waterloo, okay, against I believe it was the Duke Wellington. Okay, that battle that he lost, Napoleon was smarter than that guy, but the Lord saw fit to have him go down at that time. Okay, you see, it says they are terrible and dreadful. Their judgment and their dignity proceed of themselves. See, and there's a lot of nations during the time of Genghis Khan, they just bent the knee. They're like, we're not fighting this guy. He kept amassing armies and horses. Okay. And if you watch Game of Thrones, I believe the Dothraki people were made after them. The idea of the Dothraki in Game of Thrones was based off of the Genghis Khan. Okay, they were formidable horsemen, and just all they lived for was war. Okay, and look at this region that this guy's conquered, man. Okay, nothing to be played with. Now, in this quote, hits heavy. If you go back to it. All right. So this is more proof that the Lord does things in the earth to his will. Okay. There's no great army, including the one that we have today. People will look at, well, how we going to beat Esau? This guy's got satellite technology. He's got AI. He's got robots. He's got drones. He's got, hellfire missiles, submarines, nuclear weapons, But to put these things in context, and you go to Revelation 6 and 4, okay, it says, and there went out another horse that was red, and power was given to him that sat thereon to take peace from the earth. So the power was given to him. Okay. All of this technology is scary. It's only scary if you're a conventional thinker. If you think we're going to get out of this by conventional means, you're going to have to manually raise up an army and then manually organize and then manually, plot and scheme and coordinate. It's impossible. Okay. But we're not going to have a conventional salvation, are we? You see, the Lord going to have to give us spiritual powers. And we're going to get the victory that way. And see, at that point, nobody will be able to say, oh, they were just smart. They developed the technology. No, they're going to know it's the Lord Yahweh Bashim Yahushua that did it. Okay. The Lord actually gets more glory out of us getting spiritual power because nobody can credit a scientific invention or intelligence or something else that could be of man as getting credit for that. When the Lord, when y'all see us literally transform, all right, and start wiping niggas out like Dynasty Warriors. You play that game, Dynasty Warriors. You know what I'm talking about. You got all of these thousands of men fighting in the war, and you got your character. You just mopping through people, man. Okay. I might get a scene. Let me see. Hold on. Salakia. Then you're gonna see why. You know? I don't know if it'll show it. I want some old footage.
Peggy 16.
Got this one guy just repping through all this. Okay? I haven't played this music in a minute, but you get what I'm talking about. You guys got one spear and he's running through everything. Right? All right, so that was the point. Okay? So how are we going to win? I want to go to it. See if it'll come up here. Forget exactly where it was. Looking for the account where it says, I believe it was Asa that said he struck through 800 men with one stroke, man. Okay. Yeah, 2 Samuel 23:8. These be the names of the mighty men whom David had. The Tachmonite that sat in the seat, chief among the captains. And the same was Adino the Eznite. He lift up his spear against 800 whom he slew at one time. Okay, so our means of deliverance isn't this carnal left hand technology, bullets and things of that nature. Okay, it's kind of what I showed you in that Dynasty Warriors. Okay, but going back to Revelation 6:4, to finish this off, it says, and there went out another horse that was red, and power was given to him that sat thereon to take peace from the earth, and power is going to be given to us. Okay, it says, and that they should kill one another, and there was given unto him a great sword. Okay, you see, so this power was given, man, just like it was given to Genghis Khan. Genghis Khan was in the spirit. Okay, when he said, the Most High sent me. Okay, you've committed great sins. Okay, and this is what happened with the Spanish Inquisition. There's Northern Kingdom, y'all were going off over here, man. Okay, the Lord sent them over here to put holy hell on you, man. You were over here worshiping other gods. Okay, you were left alone and had the law, statutes, and commandments. Okay, when you read 2 Esdras 13, that's a good chapter to read on this topic, because it goes into that. And it also goes into the fact that the Lord is going to show up and destroy all of these nations without labor. Okay. The Lord's going to liken us into a spark and a tempest coming out of his mouth. Okay. But it goes into the fact that you went where never mankind dwelt. Okay. That you could worship, your God. But what did Esau find you doing over here? Huh? Worshiping jaguars and animals and fish gods and doing human sacrifices. Okay, completely bugged out of your mind. Okay, and so the Lord did what? He sent Christopher Cologne over here to tighten you up, man. Okay, but it's all good, because it was all for prophecy's sake, that we would be glorified. Okay, so that's really all I wanted to say on the matter. I'll end it there. Lord willing, this is edifying. Call hello Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahweh Shai. Bahashem Rachak Shalom. Kwam Yasharal.